All right, good evening. It is 6 o'clock. Welcome to the Monday, April 25th regular board meeting. We'll begin with a call of the meeting to order and Pledge of Allegiance. So join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are we going to be able to get kids back next year? Yes. Fingers crossed? Fingers crossed. All right, beginning with item 1.3, I seek a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved. Oh, second, Goodburn.
Okay.
Owsley.
Owsley first, Goodburn second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 1.4, approval of minutes for the special meeting, March 21st, 2022, under personnel issues. Do I seek a motion? Do I have a motion?
So moved. Owsley.
Second.
Goodburn, second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 1.5, approval of minutes for special public comment meeting, March 21st. Have a motion?
So moved. Hembry.
Thank you. Second.
Second. Owsley.
All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 1.6, approval of meetings for regular meeting, March 21st.
Move approval, Goodburn.
Thank you. Second.
Second. Owsley.
All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. On to 1.7, approval of minutes, special meeting April 11th. Under legal.
Move approval. Hembry.
Thank you. Second.
Boyd Nerona, second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 1.8, approval of minutes, special public comment meeting April 11th. Do I have a motion?
Move approval, Goodburn.
Thank you. Second.
Second. Owsley.
All right. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 1.9, approval of minutes for the workshop meeting April 11th, full of lots of good information. Do I have a motion?
Move approval. Hembry.
Second.
Boyd Nerona, second.
All right. Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. And finally, 1.10, approval of minutes for special meeting April 18th, 22nd. Do I have a motion?
Move approval, Goodburn.
Thank you. Second.
Second. Owsley.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. On to communication items. 2.1 with the Superintendents Report. Dr. Hubbard?
Yes, thank you, President Sinclair. So Shawnee Mission students demonstrated outstanding skills at this year's Jobs for America's Graduate Kansas, also known as JAG-K, State Career Development Conference. We are excited that 3 high school students qualified for the first ever JAG-K national competition. They are Phoenix Reesner, a junior from Shawnee Mission West, Anila Jones, a junior from Shawnee Mission North, and Damian Poole, a sophomore from Shawnee Mission North. These students are preparing for the national competition to be held in Dallas in early May. West Ridge Middle School JAG-K team also earned the first place title for the second consecutive year. Multiple students took home individual honors. JAG-K is an in-school program that helps students build skills to prepare them for college and careers. We'll include a link in the recap outlining all of the SMSD honorees, and congratulations to all of the JAG-K students and teachers. The Kansas Scholastic Press Association honored Tucker Love, journalism instructor at Shawnee Mission South High School, with the 2022 Sunflower Award. This is given to new advisors who show enthusiasm and dedication to building a strong journalism program and aims to encourage teachers to remain in the profession according to the KSPA website. Love was a Shawnee Mission journalism student taught in Shawnee Mission, and has expressed appreciation for the ways all Shawnee Mission High School journalism advisors have strengthened his work as a teacher. What a wonderful recognition for Tucker and Shawnee Mission journalism. We are thrilled to highlight 3 Shawnee Mission High School students who earned Aspirations in Computing Awards. Hannah Poe, a senior from Shawnee Mission South, was named an affiliate winner. Kate Swift, a Shawnee Mission South junior, and Grace Cramblett, a Shawnee Mission Northwest senior and cybersecurity student, were recognized with affiliate honorable mentions. This honor is given by the National Center for Women and Information Technology. Honorees are selected based on a long list of qualities including computing and leadership experience and tenacity in the face of barriers to access. The recognition is given to honor students for their computed-related achievements and interests and to encourage them to pursue their passions. We also congratulate their instructors, Vince Laverne and Jessica Tickle. Shauna Johnny, Shawnee Mission South Senior and Animation Signature Program student, earned first place recognition at the Imagine Media Festival. She was recognized for the animation she submitted for the 3D mechanical model category. Her outstanding work was selected by a panel of industry professionals in a contest that drew students from 26 schools. Congratulations to Sonnet and the animation teacher, Brian Johnson. Nirvana Mullen, an 8th grade student at Hawker Grove Middle School, earned a top honor from the Kansas Art Education Association. Mullen's symbolic self-portrait earned a second-place award in the statewide Youth Art Month exhibit. As an honoree, Mullen was recognized in a state ceremony and received a prize pack with art supplies, a certificate, and a ribbon. Congratulations to Nirvana Mullen and teacher Alyssa Passmore. It's been an awesome time this week at the Center for Academic Achievement as we host the 60th Annual R&D Forum. Last week's forum featured the Middle and High School Art Showcase and All Grades Science Showcase. This week, community members are invited to come to the CAA and see the Elementary Art Showcase and the Career and Technical Education Showcase. We will include a link in the recap for a full schedule. On Saturday from 9 to 11:30 a.m., everyone is invited to watch the Next Great Idea Pitch competition. A link for viewing and for live voting to select a winner will be posted on the district website. An awards show will be live streamed starting at 2 p.m. Thank you to all who have attended our open houses so far and to all the students and educators who have put this forum together, and especially to the Rainier family who supported the R&D forums for 60 years. Wednesday, April 27th is Administrative Professionals Day. We wanted to take a moment to celebrate all administrative professionals in the Shawnee Mission School District. These professionals help surround our students with a community of support and keep our day-to-day operations running seamlessly. To all our administrative professionals, thank you for all that you do to support staff, students, and the community. Thank you for keeping Shawnee Mission strong. And now it's time for our first All-Star, which is always the highlight of our meeting. I want to invite Mr. Brad Page, Associate Principal at Shawnee Mission South, to the podium to introduce our first All-Star of the evening.
Good evening, board members, and good evening all my other colleagues here and all the attendees here. I'm going to steal a page from my students' playbook, and I'm going to read from my phone. So this is new for me on the presentation piece. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce our Shawnee Mission All-Star. Ms. Kelly Chapman is Shawnee Mission Secondary Instructional Special Education and Transition Specialist, as well as the Post-High Department Chair at Shawnee Mission South. That is a mouthful. As you can already tell by her multiple job titles, Ms. Chapman wears many hats in our school district. Her daily contributions can range from supporting a high-needs classroom to staffing and working our district job Olympics and organizing that, helping our students look their very best before they're leaving every single day to our community job sites. She builds weekly schedules. She rebuilds those weekly schedules. She then adjusts those weekly schedules whenever necessary. She has an uncanny ability to conceptualize an event, schedule, community job placement, really anything, and put it into action within days, sometimes weeks, but sometimes even minutes as well. She's constantly seeking out opportunities to embed our students within our community and help them grow their work and their personal skills, and she does a great job of that. She's a vital connection between our students with special needs and numerous public and private service providers throughout our county and sometimes throughout our state. Without this connection, many families would be on their own to navigate those waters that can be very difficult. And she does an excellent job within those IEP meetings and following up to make sure that our students are connected when they absolutely need to be connected to our services. I would say her most important and admirable quality is her ability and constant focus on what is best for our students. Her compass is always pointed this way since I've met her, and because of this, her path has taken her to this place where she's going to receive Shawnee Mission's most notable and honorable award. I'll take a moment, and we've got video prepared that we can watch Kelly in action and hear some kind words.
Kelly Chapman, her title is our transition specialist. She's our instructional coach for transition, but she really supports staff in a variety of ways. Anything from community-based services and her knowledge of supports that are available for families to transition planning to IEP development. She really helps and supports in a variety of ways our students and our staff and families.
Kelly has a great ability to be able to focus on the students and the students' needs, and then how the school can serve those needs. And she has a gift for being able to know what that student needs, how that fits into the community, how we can support it here at Shawnee Mission South, and what that can do in the long term and impact their lives as they exit our post-high program.
Kelly Chapman is a rock star. That's what I would say. She goes above and beyond. She's humble. She is so knowledgeable and so supportive. She's somebody that you want on your team.
She's a visionary. We created our own Job Olympics, and not only did she take it so far as to ensure that all of our high schools could compete against one another, but then she embedded a middle school element too to make sure that we were really paving the way and creating opportunities for all of our learners.
You are a true gift here in our post-high program, and we're so proud that we can honor you. And congratulations, you are an all-star.
Congratulations, Kelly. I can't think of anyone who deserves it more than you do. You're the best.
Kelly, you absolutely deserve this award because you go above and beyond, and you are so good at what you do. And I would say, congratulations, well deserved.
Kelly, we are so thankful to continue to have you as part of our department, as part of our district, as part of our community. Thank you for all that you do, your passion. We appreciate you. We value you.
Can you come on up?
I just wanted to thank Dr. Hubbard and the Board of Education. I'm incredibly honored to be recognized as a Shawnee Mission School District All-Star. I would also like to thank Mr. Page for the kind words and the incredible support of our program. I would be amiss if I did not thank the dedicated teachers, paraprofessionals, related service providers, special education administration who support and work within our post-high program at Shawnee Mission South. All of them are truly dedicated to expanding the opportunities for our students in the classroom and in the community. And I am so very fortunate to be a part of the Shawnee Mission School District team. Thank you all very much.
Congratulations, Kelly. And now I would like for Ms. Kelly Swift to come to the podium and share our second All-Star of the night from Roseland Elementary.
Good evening. I'm honored for the opportunity to be able to recognize Patty Juarez as a Shawnee Mission All-Star. Patty has shown the ability to handle everything in the kitchen. She's extremely hardworking. She makes the dining experience for our students one of a kind. She brings spirit and excitement to the lunchroom with all of her seasonal decor and flair always displayed for the kids to see. She's always dressing the part with her original decorative aprons and t-shirts. Her love for the Kansas City Chiefs has not gone unnoticed during football season. She always greets the kids with a warm smile and a hello. She handles the fast pace and hefty duties of the kitchen like no one else. She has built wonderful relationships with her coworkers and students at Roseland Elementary. We are very honored to have had her as a part of our Roseland family for the past 8 years. Congratulations, Patty, on your Shawnee Mission All-Star Award. We are now ready to watch the video to highlight Patty.
Patricia is amazing. I've worked with her for 5 years. She comes into work every day with just like the best attitude.
She's someone that people underestimate a lot, and they don't really realize how hard she works for us all the time.
And even when she's stressed out, she still has a smile on her face and is nice to everybody.
She also helps a lot. Sometimes when I fall behind on my duties, she always tries to help me out. And from one All-Star to an All-Star, I want to congratulate Patricia.
She's a blessing to work with every day. She comes in and it's just fun. I don't even think of it as work because Patty makes it so fun.
I'm new here this year and she was very welcoming. She was very supportive in like helping me understand like this is normal, it's okay, and talking me through the craziness of the lunchroom.
The best thing what she does is what you see here behind me is that she decorates the kitchen fantastic. She's going all in for that.
They always decorate the lunchroom really fun. Like when there's a holiday or something coming up, it's just kind of fun to walk in there and see it like all dressed up. It just kind of lifts your spirits.
And also sometimes I like the way how she like dresses up. Like sometimes she like wears like a cool hat that's like Patrick Mahomes and stuff.
Yeah, she is a big Chiefs fan. She puts up a lot of Chiefs decorations, and everyone really likes to see her decorations for the Chiefs. She has like this cool Patrick Mahomes thing.
She knows how to make you laugh, and she's like can make your day better. I'm glad that she won it, and I'm proud of her.
I congratulate you on getting this award. I think you really deserve it. You're a great lunch lady.
Congratulations, we're so happy for you.
Patricia, I'm so happy that you got chosen to be the All-Star because I truly think you deserve it.
So, Patricia, I want to say congratulations. You well deserve it. Gracias por todo lo que haces. Te apreciamos y te queremos mucho en la escuela de Roseland.
You deserve this so much. You are just an incredible addition to the Roseland team. We love you.
Patty Juarez.
Good afternoon. I am honored to receive the star, and I just want to say thank you to the principal, to Connie, to Grace, especially all the students. I'm so proud to be a Roseland Panther. Thank you.
Congratulations, Patty. And that concludes the superintendent report for today.
Thank you, and congratulations to both of our All-Stars. That moves us along to 2.2 on the agenda for board reports, and I'll start with Ms. Humbry on the SMAC PTA update. Anything to report?
I don't have any updates on SMAC PTA.
Okay. And moving next to the Shawnee Mission Education Foundation.
I just wanted to note the Shawnee Mission Education Foundation operates Leadership Shawnee Mission, and they just recently accepted 30 new students into that program. So these would be sophomores and juniors from each of our high schools that will be part of a 2-week leadership development program this summer. It includes time at the Tucker Leadership Lab at William Jewell College and a big emphasis on real-world learning. So congratulations to those 30 students.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Stratton, do you have any updates on the KASB Board of Directors?
No update at this time. The board meets again next on June 11th.
Okay. Ms. Owsley.
So the legislative committee doesn't meet until the fall, so I don't have an update, but Stuart is here today with an update from the legislature.
Great. Okay. Moving down to Policy Review Committee, Ms. Goodburn.
You will see second reads tonight on 7.01, 7.02, 03, 04, 05, 06 on those policies, second reads tonight.
Okay, thank you. All right, and then back to you, Mr. Stratton, on the Finance and Facilities Committee.
No updates. The group met a couple weeks ago, and the next meeting will be later this summer.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, 2.3 Board Finance Report. Dr. Hubbard.
So yes, the March financials are included along with the SR2 expenditure report. I am going to ask Mr. Knapp to make just a few comments regarding the SR2 dollars.
Yes, so on the SR2 dollars, it shows that we still have $2.9 million left to spend, and all we have left is the fourth quarter. We will spend that down in the fourth quarter as we have 5 monthly payrolls that will hit the books in that fourth quarter. And then another big chunk of that is the certified substitute costs. We've only identified first semester, so we'll identify the second semester certified sub costs, and that's that premium rate that we agreed to do for Mondays and Fridays. So we'll identify that in the second semester, and we'll move that over there, and that will use up that $2.9 million by June 30th.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions? I'll look up and down the dais.
I have a brief question.
Ms. Owsley?
Related to the SR dollars being gone in the 24-25 school year. I was watching a panel about a week ago about special education funding, and one of the commentators noted that we are on track at the state level to, right now I think we're at 70%, but then the average in the 24-25 school year, if the legislature doesn't do anything to alter that, it would be at 64% average. And I know we're already less than the 70% as a district. We're at like, say, is it like 67? Is that correct? 68?
Yeah, 67,
So
68, right in there.
If we continue on a downward trajectory of a couple percentage points higher than what the state is at, would that put us at 62 to 63% in 24-25? I know you probably won't have an answer for this right now, but what does that look like? How much more of a reduction in that of special education funding is that, so that it would hit at the same time with that reduction there and then the loss of the ESSER dollars? It just raised a concern for me, and I know that math is kind of tricky right now, that I'm on the spot, but I would like to know what that type of reduction in special education funding looks like for us 2 years from now in conjunction with the loss of the ESSER dollars.
So I can speak to where we're at now. So we're about $8 million that we would need to get up to that 92% excess cost that state statute says that we're at. We're at 68%. If the state doesn't continue to add to the special ed, the cost of special ed is outpacing what the state is kicking in for SPED. So that 68% will slowly just continue to go down, as you said.
Right, and so I would just like, if we can get a projection of where we would be in 2 years if we continue at that downward trajectory, to say if it's 8 million now and we run a few percentage points behind the average, would that then mean that we would drop to we would be 10 million short, 11 million short?
Yeah, I can do that estimate. I can probably tell you at this point, but I can try to put make some assumptions and give you an estimate.
That'd be great.
I just also want to clear up, because I've read a lot, just social media posts on this in the panel, and I just want to clarify that when we say special education's not being funded, it actually is via the general fund. So that $8 million that we talk about being short, we're actually transferring that money from the general fund to special education. So it's really the general ed budget that is being shorted, if you will. So that if we were to be fully funded, that means $8 million to the general fund. So I just want to clarify, some people think that we're not spending, we're not meeting special education needs when we indeed are, but it's just at the cost of the general fund.
So this is like a question of reimbursement, really, in a way.
How much was the Gannon decision dollars for our district? How much more did that infuse this year from the Gannon decision? Do you know?
Well, at the state level, they're adding $7.5 million a year to the appropriation.
For the special education?
For the whole state, yes. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get dollar for dollar because it's on a reimbursement. So it's how much our sped transportation is, and the sped and paras and teachers. And that's all based on reimbursement. And then the way they do it is come May, they take the big pot of money and they distribute it all out. So whatever our portion of that is what we'll get.
That part I understand. I was curious as to if the Gannon decision had not been put in place, we would be receiving less dollars this year. I'm curious as to how much that money is that we are receiving now that the Gannon decision is to the point where it's adequate. Do we know what that?
Is your question is what did we gain on the base?
Yes. Well, how much was that? Because
the reimbursement rate itself, it actually went down. Even with adding $7.5 million, that reimbursement rate.
No, I think she's
I'm talking about
asking-
for general ed.
Yeah.
The base?
Base
Yes.
stayed per pupil.
Yes.
What did it go up this
It's
year?
going up about $137.
So how much?
$137 on the
How
base.
much is that for our district?
That's about $4 million.
So we are spending more out of general ed on sped to the tune of twice that amount as to what we are getting in from the Gannon dollars. Am I interpreting that correctly?
We've always have spent around $8 to $9 million out of our operating funds to support sped because of the lack of funding the excess costs.
That part I understand. I guess the conclusion I'm trying to see if I can reach is that we received additional dollars under Gannon to fix the shortage for general education, and those dollars are really subsequently, we're using them or having to use them to cover the lack of funding from the state for special education.
I think that's one way you could look at it for sure.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. So next on the agenda, we're moving on to discussion items 3.1, Briarwood Tomahawk Work Group Timeline. Dr. Hubbard.
Yeah, so at the last meeting, we talked through the enrollment analysis, and it was determined that we needed to start having a conversation about a boundary change between Briarwood and Tomahawk. So we have created a timeline as sort of and procedures of what this work group would look like. So I just kind of want to briefly go through that. It is attached in the boundary, or in this discussion item, and then it's also going to be sent to all Tomahawk and Briarwood families after the meeting tonight. So, but just a quick overview of the work group. I just want to say up front that boundary changes are very difficult and create a lot of stress for communities, and none of them are ever easy. We're going to try to make this as seamless as possible. I know my own children and probably others at the dais, I'm guessing, have experienced boundary changes throughout our kids' careers. You hope that that never happens, but when it does, what I can tell you with my experience is my kids were extremely resilient, and it was a great experience for them. So I can only hope the same for other families as well. So we've attempted to lay out a plan that is very transparent and will provide community input opportunities on multiple occasions. Everything we do is driven by our strategic plan, and this boundary adjustment will not be any different. So we have provided some guiding principles and parameters for this work group to work through. The boundary work group will review and study an enrollment analysis, review and analyze the guiding principles of boundary changes, review and analyze public input, and make advisory recommendations on the boundary change to the administrative team. Approximately 25 people will be there representing both schools and the school district. District and building staff will be appointed to the work group. Additionally, a Google form will be sent to families and/or community members on May the 2nd. For anyone who is interested in participating to complete a Google form of interest. The administration will be looking for members that have an open mind and who are, as much as possible, neutral to the boundary change. Once members have submitted their interest, the parents will be chosen as follows. So there'll be 4 parents for Tomahawk and 4 parents for Briarwood. One of those parents will be an automatic appointment of the PTA president. The principal will make an appointment. I will make an appointment, and then the 4th parent spot will be a lottery draw of all of those that have expressed an interest to be on the committee. And then on May 16th, we will announce who the committee is. And then the timeline, the work will begin in September. There will be 3 work group meetings. These particular work group meetings will not be open to the public. This group really needs a protected space to analyze the data and have those really tough conversations. However, there will be minutes from each of those meetings, as well as all of their work will be shared at a public Board of Education meeting, so anyone can see that as well. And then their work will also be shared at community forums, and they'll have an opportunity, anyone will have an opportunity to provide input back to the committee to go back to work and revisit the input. And then the final recommendation will ultimately come to the Board of Education in November. And after that time, we plan to really quickly, starting in December, start really having the conversation of the design of the new Tomahawk Elementary. And that's why we felt like this boundary change was so important earlier rather than later, because we wanted that new, wherever that line draws, that new community to have representation in the design of the new Tomahawk Elementary. And then additionally, we would accommodate as many transfers. I mean, if I had a kindergartner starting, I might just want to start them at Tomahawk rather than Briarwood if I happen to be in that change. And so we will accommodate as many of those transfers as we have, as capacity allows us to do prior to the August 2025, when the official boundary change goes into effect. So with that, again, this is on the website. We are creating an actual website for the boundary change where all the information will be housed. If you noticed in the group, in the work group, Dr. Neal and Mr. Stubblefield will be really kind of taking it and running from this point with the boundary change. So again, the committee work won't start till September, but we'll be working with RSP. They will be coming in and consulting, so they'll be working with RSP through that process. So with that, I will stand for any questions you may have.
I believe I might be up next for kicking off questions. Could be wrong, but I'll just go ahead and jump in. So thank you for laying this out and laying out the expectations. I think it really helps for people to understand the sense of timelines. I really appreciate the work that went into this. So so just looking at if I'm an interested parent or community member, I would submit my application to my principal and to the district.
So it'll be, we're actually putting a letter out tonight to those families that say it's coming. So there'll be an opportunity, a Google form, that you'll just complete the Google form, which will come to all of us.
Great, okay. All right, and it looks like there's numerous people who will be play a role in identifying and selecting parents to participate. So I appreciate that. So it cuts across different forms of leadership and the lottery opportunity as well. So thank you. All right, Ms. Goodburn.
I don't have any questions other than I'm just looking at the committee, and it looks like you've got representation from, you know, like over, is it 30? Am I doing my math correct? If you have 8 parents out of 26 or so, that's like over 30%, correct? So I think that's great. And then again, 4 teachers and classified staff. It looks like you guys have really put together a great looking committee. So I appreciate that.
Ms. Humber, oh, Mr. Stratton.
No questions. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Humber.
No questions. It looks great. Thank you.
No questions, just a comment that to be cautious of the communication portal for ongoing engagement as we move through this successfully.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Owsley.
Not so much a comment, but just a thank you for noting the strategic plan and putting out the parameters. Strategy 2, that we will relentlessly create a fully unified, equitable, and inclusive culture. I appreciate that that is included here, that we'll be looking at diversity and taking that into consideration as we draw the line. So I appreciate that attention to detail and the adherence to the strategic plan. And I appreciate the opportunity for Briarwood parents to be involved in the process so that they can be in on the ground floor as it comes to fruition. I think it looks great.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Seeing no other questions, that takes us to 3.2, SPED Grow Your Own Cohort 2 partnership with Fort Hays State University.
Speaking of strategic plan, this falls right in line with the strategic plan as well, and I'm going to introduce Dr. Jeremy Higgins and Sherry Dumoulin, who will be sharing some information regarding this exciting opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Hubbard and the board. Appreciate you guys having us in this evening. Happy to speak on behalf of the HR team, along with my great colleague, Sherry, this evening about some updates in regards to our recruiting. Terry, are you? I can do it. Perfect. So as we all know, what guides the work here in the Shawnee Mission School District is our strategic plan, and it's important to always remind ourselves of the district mission that we have here. I got two computers now. The destination that we have here, as an HR team, along with all of our departments and schools, we know that our work must allow students to achieve academic success through a personalized learning plan, develop and utilize resiliency to master those essential competencies, and to also develop those interpersonal skills. Just as a reminder, our HR team took our strategic plan, took that mission, took the destination, and synthesized it into the philosophy and goals that you see here. And this really helps to ground us in the work that we do. So I want to jump in and provide you guys with a brief update on some recruiting efforts, specifically to our efforts within the Shawnee Mission School District. As we talked about in the fall during our HR department presentation, not only do we as an HR department focus on recruiting those outside of our organization, but we also hope to recruit from within the Shawnee Mission School District as well. Dr. Schumacher has said it many times and says it really well, that we can't simply accept the teacher pool for what it is, but to really do something about it, we have to create our own pool that we can get this diverse workforce from. We have several strategic action items that speak specifically to that recruitment from within the Shawnee Mission School District. 223 is all about the teacher education program. Happy to report to you guys that our teacher ed numbers are up for next year, about 60 across the district. And we're going to see all 5 of our high schools offering those teacher education programs, which is a fantastic thing. 224 speaks specifically to the Grow Your Own program and grants and scholarship program to hire back Shawnee Mission graduates. I'm going to talk more about that here in just a minute. And then 225 speaks to the partnerships, establishing partnerships with post-secondary institutions that promote and enhance diverse candidates in education. I want to spend a little bit more time on 224 and 225 and provide some recommendations and next steps with regards to these two strategic action items. With regards to 224 and 225, we had a group of approximately 30 people serve on a strategic action planning committee that met through the months of November, December, and January to research and discuss and make recommendations on the best path forward. For 224, you can see those recommendations and those next steps on the slide here. So again, these are our recommendations that this group made for how we could really kick this Grow Your Own program off the ground. Their recommendations include identifying 10 high school seniors who would receive a monetary award. This would happen through both an application and interview process. That award, their recommendation would be that award would be a 4-year commitment that would come in the form of scholarships, loan forgiveness, and would require a commitment to teach in the Shawnee Mission School District. They recommended that we partner with SMSD to find donors to fund this on an ongoing basis in a sustainable way. They recommended that the district contribute a portion of the funding as well. And their last recommendation was that this kickoff and the first round of scholarships be offered to the, members of the class of 2023. Next steps in regards to the Grow Your Own program for our high school students is for district leadership to really solidify a plan for how to go about funding this initiative, as there obviously is a cost associated with that. 225 specifically talks about establishing partnerships with post-secondary institutions that promote and enhance diverse candidates in education. As we look at 225, please know that there are multiple layers of partnerships at work here. We've got partnerships that we want to look at that help our current students, our current juniors and seniors that are taking those teacher ed classes. We want to look at partnerships with undergrad institutions that allow for observations in student teaching here in the Shawnee Mission School District. And then also we want to look at partnerships that can impact our employees and community members who want to ultimately serve and enter in the teaching profession. And so with that, several of the recommendations that came out of the group's work here was to continue and grow the university partnerships that are currently in place. There are two partnerships that I kind of want to key off on, and one of the expanded partnerships is with Johnson County Community College. The group really recognized that a lot of our students attend Johnson County Community College, and we could really try to form a partnership with them that would enhance both their programming and ours as well. Through that, they suggested hosting an annual education academy in conjunction with JCCC in an effort to provide additional opportunities for both Shawnee Mission and JCCC students. And then also establish a liaison to work with those JCCC and Shawnee Mission students to really bridge a great partnership. One of the things that was clear through the work of the committee was people want information. They want clear information, they want concise information, and especially on how to get started. So we want to be very strategic on information that we provide not only to our students, but also those who are curious about entering the teaching profession, whether that be through part of our website, informational packets or brochures, but really targeting ways that we can provide people with the best information. In addition to that, we want to be able to partner with any interested universities to provide informational roadmaps for students that really lay out the pathway for them to take education courses that end with their teaching credentials. It could almost be a way for us to market, or for universities to market to our students the ability to get into that teaching field. Specifically for those staff members who are maybe a classified staff member who want to become certified staff members, or for community members, there was a recommendation to host a career opportunity fair several times a year that would connect interested people and be able to give them additional information on how they could go about getting into the educational field. And then lastly, the recommendation came forward to continue and bolster opportunities for hands-on teaching and leadership experiences that really connect to recruitment and selection of potential candidates. So with that, we plan on action planning around the recommendations above for implementation during the 22-23 school year. A lot of those items are items that we can take care of within the department. We also recommend the continuation of our Fort Hays State partnership for special education teaching candidates. So this was one of those partnerships that's in place that we want to continue on. Obviously, we're excited about the broader Grow Your Own program, but we know that some work still needs to be done around that. In the meantime, though, we really feel that the Fort Hays State program and the expansion to include classified staff members does offer an avenue to begin that recruitment effort of our current Shawnee Mission staff into the teaching profession. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Dimmeline and allow her to discuss the partnership with Fort Hays State a little bit more.
Good evening. I have a limited voice, so I'm going to do my best to project as much as I can. So thank you for the opportunity tonight to discuss. If you'll recall, those of you who've been following along on our journey, we presented on February 24th of 2020 with a proposal for our very first Grow Your Own cohort in special education. If you also recall, in 2020, we had a pandemic that started not much longer after that. So I do want to share with you, before we start talking about cohort number 2, I really want to emphasize where we started and where we are currently. So we, a couple of pieces, we had 7 individuals who braved a pandemic to pursue an opportunity in special education. So they left their comfort zone of general education as general education teachers and entered into a special education assignment for the fall of 2020. In addition to that, one of the components of the Grow Your Own model was to ensure that we, as Shawnee Mission, had an opportunity to blend learning for our students and make sure that they understood from a Shawnee Mission perspective the needs of our community within our schools and the supports. And so some of those elements and for that blended approach was to utilize our own IEP system. We wanted to make sure that our teachers had that direct contact. We had staff from all across the district come and do presentations immersed within the coursework that was provided to students within this cohort. So then that way they were able to really take away what it meant from a special education standpoint under the Shawnee Mission umbrella. And that coursework was applicable, and it wasn't just out of a textbook, right? They had real life knowledge and understanding. So the other nice pieces is that we were able to really customize some of the courses to ensure, just like I mentioned, the IEP system, in terms of ensuring that they had opportunities to get into different classes and see different aspects within the school district. So I do want to invite, we have 3 individuals who are members of the cohort who came tonight. They wanted to just share briefly some of their experiences before we dive into the recommendation for cohort number 2. So the 3 individuals who joined us tonight are Casey Orlick, current special education teacher at Westridge. I have Jody Miller, current special education teacher at Benninghoven, and Kim Taylor, special education teacher at Tomahawk Elementary.
Thank you all for being here.
Thank you for having us. Good evening. My name is Casey Orlick, and I am a special education teacher at Westridge Middle School. This cohort has provided me with amazing opportunities, first off, to leave general education and better suit the needs of students. I've had the opportunity to now co-teach instead of just teach by myself and work with one singular co-teacher. I work with 4 different co-teachers throughout the day. I also feel like I'm able to build better relationships with my students and get to know them and their needs a little bit better. That's it. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jody Miller, and I want to thank you guys so much for giving us this opportunity to be able to gain some more knowledge and to become a better teacher. I know I was a 2nd grade teacher, and so when I was given this opportunity, it was just something that I would not have done probably on my own financially. I have 3 other kids in college, so adding me was not a possibility, so I thank you. My husband thanks you because I come home every day with new stories and just excited. You know, it's kind of a renewed sense. I actually am at Ray Marsh Elementary, and that's where I was teaching. It's okay. And what I love about that is I already had those relationships with those teachers. And so as a special education teacher, I feel like when they have struggles, I'm able to really connect with them and talk with them and walk through the struggles. But we're also really able to make better plans for the kids, and that's who it's for. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and I really hope that you can continue to give this opportunity to others.
Hi, I'm Kim Taylor. I'm at Tomahawk. Again, I want to thank you guys. I would, like Jody, would not have had the opportunity to go and go after my passion of being in special education just for the financial reason of going back to school. So this was a godsend for me. So thank you very much for this opportunity. But as Sherry was saying, having the teachers, Sherry and Linda and Jennifer Dancer, help teach us in some of our classes was very beneficial because we got to see it from a Shawnee Mission point of view, from the higher ups, and why we're doing it that way. One of the biggest things is Shawnee Mission is the only district that uses their own IEP. And had we done it through Fort Hays or another university, we would have used the generic one. Going through Shawnee Mission and having them specifically use the one that we're using, it was much easier for us to jump in and do what we're doing. I'm not going to say it wasn't easy, not only with the pandemic, going into special education, not having a clue what I was doing, the legalities of it, and just the unknown. But I have learned so much, and without the help of our higher ups, which I would have never got the opportunity to meet, at least the way we do now as being our teachers, it has been a true blessing for me, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And if other people have that opportunity, I know I'm not the only one. Jody's not the only one in the boat who financially couldn't afford it. So thank you very much.
So as we start thinking about segueing into a second cohort, it's important to go back to the rationale and the why, right? And so kind of like what Dr. Higgins said earlier, creating our own pool of applicants and helping them understand, this creates a value to our students, to our community, and really having that deep knowledge and understanding of the needs that we're seeing within the Shawnee Mission School District. There continues to be a nationwide shortage on special education teachers. This allows us to essentially not just rely on universities, but then also create some opportunities from within to look at not only from a general education standpoint, but tonight we'll talk a little bit about from a paraeducator standpoint as well. The other piece is that it does create that coursework. It has that district alignment, like the educators mentioned tonight. That was very valuable. We received a lot of feedback in regards to how helpful that was for them to really be able to make those connections and connect the dots, if you will. It also has that alignment with the strategic plan 2225, which again, all of our work needs to tie back to that strategic plan and everything that we do. So in terms of goals for a second partnership, so one of our number one goals is to increase the number of qualified special education teachers. We want to continue to improve training and preparation for teachers. So within the development of the cohort and with the development of the pandemic, some additional items that we've put forth to increase special education training over the course of that time not only went to the cohort members, but then all of our special education staff as well. The individuals who are participants in the cohort just are able to get a little bit extra because it's a smaller group, it's a smaller kind of intimate setting as they're going through the coursework and really making the connection with why we have to do certain things under the special education umbrella. The other big piece is that we have to find ways to promote within. We have a number of paraeducators who are highly skilled and qualified individuals who are working with our students on a day-to-day basis. And like Dr. Higgins mentioned earlier, sometimes staff just don't know what next steps to take in order to pursue a degree in education. This new model, cohort number 2, would allow us an opportunity to have qualified paraeducators who have a degree in maybe another field, partnering alongside of general education teachers through a parallel curriculum and going through and obtaining a master's degree in special education and affording them the opportunity to be teachers within our classrooms. And it's a very exciting opportunity for not only the district, but also our staff, our students, our community as well. So again, the cohort model will include those job applicable skills, and then it also creates that alignment with the strategic plan again under 2224 and 2225. In terms of what the scope looks like, we are hoping to attract 12 to 15 staff members for this cohort. And this cohort will be a combination of both classified individuals and certified individuals. I know that going from a number of 7 to 12 to 15 seems like a large leap. However, as we're segueing out of the pandemic, honestly, that was the largest feedback that we received when we rolled out cohort number 1, was the timing. We had a number of individuals who have expressed interest if a second cohort becomes available. That it just wasn't the right time given the pandemic and how everything was rolling out with the first cohort. So because we are investing in these individuals, we have some obligations as a district, and then the cohort member has obligations as well. And so the cohort member would agree to complete coursework throughout the cohort with an average of a B or better, complete all required licensure requirements. So once they're finished with coursework, they'll make sure that they take the praxis test and they'll add the special education licensure to their teaching license. In addition to that, they will agree on top of the 2 years teaching in the cohort, they'll teach 3 additional years in special education. So that would be a total of 5 years under teaching in a special education position. I'm confident that once they get into that special education position, they're going to love it so much that they'll just stay. But we ask a minimum of a commitment of a total of 5 years. So cohort members, while the district is paying 90% of the tuition, cohort members would resume the cost of books or online educational fees, which in partnering with Fort Hays State, the majority of their structure for next school year is going to these online educational resources. So it's going to be an average of about $12 to $15 per class, which makes it reasonable and affordable. They'll have some textbooks, but it won't be an extreme amount. In regards to the overall cost, it does equate to $275 per credit hour per cohort member. So with a maximum number of cohort members being 15, it would cost the district $194,400 of an investment in these staff that we would then place in special education positions. Our staff, who would be members of the cohort, they would have an expense of their own for 10% of that cost, which would equate to $1,440. There is an assessment that goes through if you're on the limited apprenticeship track. There is an assessment that is required, and we have factored that assessment in to the cost of this tuition because we didn't want to create any barriers for individuals to be able to complete all of those requirements. So that's been factored into this cost as well. This cohort number 2 would be funded through federal ESSER 3 special education funds. We currently have used a great deal of our special education ESSER dollars, utilizing those for contract staff members. This would, our hope would be this would replace the need for contract staff individuals with our own employees. This is our timeline and overview of where we would start pending approval tonight, and then when the cohort would end May of 2025. And that's all that I have. I'm so sorry that my voice was very painful, but any questions that I can answer?
Thank you very much. This is super exciting. I believe we'll start with Ms. Goodbarn and work around.
No questions.
Mr. Stratton.
No questions. Very good presentation. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ms. Embry.
I hope it didn't hurt that bad to talk, Sherry, because I have my questions for you. I'm so sorry. Can you help put for me the number, sort of 15 new teachers into context? Like, how short are we on SPED teachers? How close will that get us to fulfilling our needs? Or do we think there'll need to be additional cohorts?
So I think that the piece that's important to remember is that special education staffing is ever evolving, right? Our needs occur with the student populations that we serve. So as we see an increase in identification and as we strive to ensure that we have adequate work-life balance for our staff, that triggers the need for adjustments to staffing. So my hope would be that continuing this process, it creates opportunities. We also have natural attrition of staff annually for retirement purposes and things of that, or leaving the profession and things of that nature. So I don't want to say that there's ever a static number that I can give you because, again, our needs are really ever evolving.
Can you give me like a scope of like, in a given year, how short we are typically to just, I'm struggling to understand whether 15 is like a ton of teachers or whether it's like a drop in a very big bucket.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of, I'm going to answer it from a vacancy perspective and then a new hire perspective. How about that?
That'd be great.
So from a vacancy perspective, we started this school year with 6 vacancies that we were unable to fill, and we had contract staff within those positions. From a new hire perspective, I would say that last year, I think we had an average of 44 new hires. Keep in mind, new hires come from anywhere from individuals coming right out of college, individuals from other districts, individuals moving and relocating to the area. And I think that that was one of our largest years in terms of new team members joining our department.
That's super helpful. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Boyd-Norona, any questions?
No questions, just 2 comments. I applaud your efforts to provide this targeted informational roadmap for people that are interested. Because if they see it, then they know that they can be it, and it just is that much concrete in their mind. Also, that I applaud your efforts of looking at the non-traditional routes as an alternative to providing persons that are be interested that are already within the district to provide this shortage that we have. So I applaud your efforts on those 2 fronts.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Owsley.
I love the fact that at least 2 of the educators here tonight said, but for this program, they would not have gone into special education. And so I think that that really speaks to the value of it. And I want to thank the 3 of you for participating in the program in 2020 when things were so uncertain and going into special education. I have the pleasure of knowing Ms. Kim and how dedicated she is to the students in our district. And so I love the fact that we have this tool to invest in the staff that we already know are fantastic and woo them in that way, and then they will love us and stay with us forever. No, so I think it's a really beneficial tool, and I would love to, once you have the second cohort on board, have an update from those numbers of those 15, how many of them, but for the program, would not go in, so that we can have that record. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Yeah, no problem.
I have one more. Sorry. That's okay. No, I'll be quick. Sorry. Thank you. I just wanted, so thank you for all this, creating this capacity within this district. That was, I'm sure, a big effort across a number of folks. So I was just trying to wrap my head around the certified and then classified staff. Do they finish the cohort at different points, or is they finish at the same time, but those then who are in the classified just have more work to do? Is that?
That's a great question. And actually, they have the same amount of work. It just looks different. So there'll be a portion of the cohort where they are together, and then they'll be, after year 1, they'll split into 2 different groups at that point in time, because then the paraeducators who choose to pursue this opportunity will move forward with learning some of those prerequisite skills that our general education counterparts would have already had. So we'll start together, but then there will be opportunities for them to be separate.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That was, any other questions? Thank you both. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, guys. Also, I just want to remind you all that 5.28 in the consent agenda is the agreement that you'll be asking you to approve tonight. So.
Okay. All right. That takes us to legislative update 3.3. Dr. Hubbard?
Yeah, I'd like to invite Mr. Stuart Little. Dr. Stuart Little is here to share with us a legislative update. Welcome back to Kansas City.
Happy to be here. Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Hubbard and David Smith and the administrative staff have continued to be really supportive and responsive as we've been dealing with the break and getting back into the session. I know you have a long agenda after me. I'm going to be kind of hit some of the highlights because we're kind of at the beginning of where we are to wrap up the session. The session is kind of drawing to an end. They began today to what is historically referred to as the wrap-up or the veto session. So they have several issues that are still out there that need to be dealt with. And I'll just kind of start off with kind of the event of the day that has some impact on how we might close up the legislative session. District Court threw out the congressional redistricting map this morning, which is one of the, other than passing a budget, redrawing maps is the other constitutional requirement of the legislature. And so that's going to have to be dealt with. As of right now, the general understanding of how we're going to proceed, and I'm going to talk about the education policy, but this may get drug out. We're likely to wrap up this phase of the legislative session right now, within this week, and then they would maybe finish up the budget, the K-12 budget, finish up everything, and then schedule a couple of days toward the end of May to come back in the event that the court requires the district court's decision will be, as has already been, the Attorney General has filed an appeal to the state Supreme Court, so that's where we'll go next. That will be, I believe the clock starts 30 days today when that was filed. So there's going to be a decision rendered by the court if they have to come back. We will come back likely some days late May, early June to resolve the legislative. It may just be maps. The challenge will be you've got to convince everybody in Topeka that let's finish everything except the maps. So this week I think there's going to be, the legislature will try to pull together and do a couple of issues. There have been a lot of legislative issues resolved, still hanging out there of some interest to us, the sales tax on, elimination of sales tax on food, some public health requirements that are still out there that would have an impact on your authority and ability to deal with future public health issues. But education-wise, so just to circle back to kind of what we have left for education is basically everything. Nothing, the stuff hasn't been passed. We had two bills at the end of the legislative session, the transgender sports bill, and then the other bill, which was the rights of parents kind of articulated through a fairly brief list of issues. Those were passed by the legislature at the end of the legislative session. Governor vetoed both of those. The legislature intends to take up these attempt to potentially override these vetoes. It doesn't appear by looking at the vote counts that the votes exist to override the governor's veto. They're a long way from doing that, so it's likely that both of these vetoes will stand. The other issue then that's sitting out there is the large K-12 budget, which is sitting in a conference committee that includes about 12 or 13 other bills in that, and probably the most significant bill of those is the open enrollment, open transfer bill that's part of that as well. So that bill all sits there. It included in it at the end of the regular legislative session provisions with regard to community colleges and opened up a scholarship program to individuals that lived in other states that were not residents, in bordering states that were not a resident of Kansas. That caused some consternation. Those are Kansas tax dollars. Why are we spending those on folks from out of state? Well, it was tied to the economic development package for the economic project that's out there, but that raised enough issues as well as the open enrollment provisions that they didn't even run it. So now we're back, the legislature's here, we've got good revenue, over $3 billion in revenue estimates. 2 years ago I was here, I looked at a report and I said we're going to run out of money, we're going to have a $600 million deficit by the coming November, and now we've got $3 billion in the bank. So that is a good thing to have. It gives you a lot of choices whether to cut or spend and those kind of things. I'll get to spending. There is a spending issue involved in here, but that's all that's out there, and there's not a ton of other issues other than those kinds of things. The K-12, the sales tax on food, and kind of anything else that might need to be done. So what we're looking at this point is is the budgets that's sitting there on the way over here. They'll receive notice that the Education Conference Committee will meet tomorrow in the afternoon. So at 2 o'clock tomorrow, they'll begin figuring out what they need to do to this package of education bills to get it moving forward. And some of the talk is you take out some of the offending provisions rather than a big giant bill. It may get carved up into something smaller and then run as conference committee reports and maybe do 2 or 3, something like that. But we have timing issues, and the legislature does not move quickly. And so it's Tuesday. We spent most of the day today with the KU basketball team, which burned the whole afternoon. But that we've got to now get them to meeting tomorrow, wrapping up the budget, or wrapping up what they want to do, and then getting that passed in both chambers. That I think once they kind of get separated, I can't really speculate on what the budget is going to be approved. But what's going to happen on the open transfer, I know that's generating a lot of attention and energy. So all of those things are kind of unresolved, but they're all going to kind of have to be dealt with within the next 5 or 6 days. If they're not, and this is where Russ gets jumpy, when you start saying, we may not have the budget resolved until the middle of June if we don't finish the budget, the K-12 budget, until they come back, if they have to fix maps. So that's one thing. Everybody kind of anticipates that's where we're going to end up getting everything done, setting aside some days to come back. 2 issues I would note that are of some significance: special education. There has been a growing conversation since toward the end of the regular session when there's a desire to add funding. I think it's about $60-some-odd million to get us caught up on excess cost in special ed. I think you all had some earlier conversation about how you are funding K-12, but you're using it out of the operational funds. And so that failed to do that before this package was put together. In the interim period, the State Board of Education had another vote and recommended adding, I think, 155 some odd million to get fully back up to 92%. There have been a variety of organizations that have been engaged in seeking at a minimum kind of the $55-60 million. The governor last Thursday released her budget amendment because this was the legislature, the money committees came back last Thursday and Friday to look at final budget issues, those kinds of things. The governor had a budget amendment. On that list was an addition of $30 million to add to K-12 to special education, which I believe took us from 70% to 74-75% in excess costs. And that was discussed by the Ways and Means and Appropriations Committees. Neither one of them agreed to add the funding. They took a vote. Neither one of them added the funding. And so what's going to happen now is that the House and the Senate will wrap up a budget as well, both of them, and run it in the House and the Senate. There will be opportunities to offer amendments when the House and the Senate run those bills, and there will be an effort, certainly will be an effort to add special ed funding again, because that has become part of the conversation about a missing component there. So that's the likely path, and so that will happen. There have been some opportunities at some points where the committees could put together and run them in a conference committee report, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's enough interest in having another conversation about special education. So I think that's going to happen. The last thing I would note is one issue that's going to be kind of a longer term issue, and it has an impact on, or it's reflective of some of the decisions you all have made. There was a legislative post audit on Friday that talked about generally school districts hiring social workers and the investment that they bring to the district that you all have done and lots of other school districts have, but also some concern expressed by some folks that have talked about the extent to which counselors as certified teachers need to be in a classroom, not social workers. I don't have the expertise. I understand the logic of social workers and the benefit they bring. There are some people that are skeptical of the value of social workers, and some of it lies in darker critiques of the public school system. But that's going to be ongoing because there was a lot of attention focused on that. So the budget's going to get closed up. We're likely to have another conversation about special education. And I think I'll just pause there and answer any questions that you all might have.
Thank you, Dr. Little. Appreciate that. wrap up. It's been a hard session to follow what's been going on, so. I believe Mr. Stratton is up next. Do you have any questions, Brad, for?
No questions. Thank you for the update, and we've all been following along. It'll be interesting to see how the week plays out. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Hembry.
No questions. Thank you for the update. Thank you for being a voice for us there. I appreciate it.
Ms. Boyd-Norena?
As always, I appreciate your perspective and insight. I personally, you piqued my interest on this debate or conversation about with the school district hiring social workers. Don't want to beleaguer it tonight, but that was an interesting concern that's spiking up. So I'll kind of keep my eye on that. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Owsley?
I didn't get a chance to follow the Senate Ways and meeting when they were discussing the budget. Did they add the K through 12 budget to their omnibus discussions at all, just absent the governor's recommendation, or did they just strictly leave it in the conference committee for K through 12?
So normally and historically, the budget is as a whole. It has everything from the Department of Agriculture to K-12 education. And for the last few years, the House has separated out the K-12 budget and put policy with it because that's the only way sometimes they can get things passed. And so they've put those things together, and they're doing that again this year. So the House Appropriations, the Senate Ways and Means Committee are looking and put together and passed the final budget that the governor signed, and now they're looking at kind of the last-minute wrap-up budget issues. And so the K-12 funding issues, including the governor's special education edition, are in the House. They talked about adding it in, and then in the Senate, the conversation has been that they're not going to add, at least to this point, and this was part of the conversation just this morning in their meeting, they're not even going to talk about it in the Senate Ways and Means Committee because it is part of the package of items that are in the Education Conference Committee, which is where the budget is. So they have not even, I believe, voted on whether to add it or not in the Senate.
So if the conference committee does not meet a resolution, what happens to the K through 12 budget?
Well, the budget conference committee at this point is irrelevant to the K-12 budget because this is the K-12 budget is now under the authority of the 6 people that are on the Education Conference Committee. And so it's up to them to come up with some resolution to add or not add $30 million for, if that's the governor's GBA. Because they've ceded, the money committees have ceded the authority to deal with the budget to that conference committee.
So Ways and Means and Approps have ceded the authority to the K through 12 budget committee. Yep. Okay, thank you.
If there is some opportunity to separate out budget from policy and get more of a clean funding bill, if that's even something still in the works, is that just basically by so those that have no money, or how does that get separated? So would all of the policy get separated out, or would that keep the virtual math and safety grants in the?
That'd be up to the 4 people. That'd be
okay.
up to the 4 people that will vote for a budget package and how they would ever choose to take it apart.
Okay, so that's their prerogative to determine that. Okay, all right. Just was trying to think if that was cleaner. The only other comment, just thinking about the recent conversations about social workers, there's a great article in the Inside that was a magazine that was just released on page 10 on the essential subjects of social emotional learning. It's a great article. It seems to be kind of relevant. Ms. Goodburn.
I just want to say thank you for your update. Thank you for your work. And I want to also give a shout out to KASB. They do great work on Twitter too, keeping us all informed, up to the date. They're sitting in the meetings and all the other advocacy groups that are out there too that are giving information via Twitter since I can't go over to speak every day. So appreciate the work.
Thank you.
All right. I don't see any other questions. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Dr.
Thank
Hubbard,
you.
did you have anything else?
No, I was just going to say thank you.
All right, this brings us to 4.0, or in our, moves us onto the consent agenda, and unless anyone would like to pull an item, I'll ask for a motion for the consent for both general and we do not have any bond-related items in this.
Move approval, Goodburn.
Thank you. Second?
Second, Hembry.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Okay, we also have, this brings us to action items. We have a number of action items. 7.1 to 7.6 are in relation to policy. So we'll just take one at a time. They are all second reads. And so I will look to you, Dr. Hubbard, I think beginning with 7.1, approval of revised board policy DL tax increment finance, or the TIF.
So yeah, policy DL, which is tax increment finance, also known as TIF. And there was a statute revised in July 1st of 2017 to exclude capital outlay mill levy from the definition of real property taxes. And this just reflects that change. And I received no comments from any board members on a first or second read, so.
I'll move approval of 7.01.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second, Ousley.
All right, do I need to pause for any questions or comments on each of these? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Okay, that takes 7.2, approval of revised board policy IF, public concerns, complaints about instructional and library resources. It's our second reading. Dr. Hubbard.
Yeah, so the Policy Review Committee considered this one as, and again, this is a second read. I have not received any feedback, but we just revised this in October. And so it is really just two really small words. It doesn't change the meaning of the policy. It's really just semantically cleaning it up.
Helpful. Okay, do I have a motion?
Move approval, Hembry.
Thank you. Second?
Goodburn.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. That brings us 7.3, approval of revised board policy, IIA, performance-based credits.
And this is just a KASB recommended update. And again, a second read, I received no feedback.
Move approval, Hembry.
Second, Goodburn.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 7.4, approval of revised policy JBCB in-district transfers, second reading.
So again, yeah, a second read, and this is sunsetting the language regarding suspending the good standing requirement that we had in place due to COVID. So it would be returning to the original language for the beginning in August.
Okay.
Move approval, Goodburn.
Thank you. Second?
Second, Hembry.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0. All right, this is policy JCDB, dress code, second reading, 7.5.
Yeah, again, policy review reviewed. It is a second reading, and it's simply, well, it's a KASB update that simply mirrors state law.
All right, and this is in relation to students, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Move approval, Goodburn.
Thank you. Second?
Ousley.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 7.6, approval of revised board policy KGA, personal use of district personal property and equipment.
So this is a second read and also is revisions recommended by KASB. I did receive some questions regarding this one as it pertains to district-issued computers. So I think we may have a revision to consider.
Okay, so why don't I begin by seeking a motion?
I'll move.
Okay, we have a first. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. And then, do we have any questions or comments on this? Okay.
I have discussion and a proposed amendment.
Okay,
So
Ms. Ensel?
I'll explain with the discussion and then I'll make my motion. We have a different policy that specifically pertains to the MacBooks and the personal use computers, and that policy is IIBF. And it provides that authorized employees may use the district's technology resources for reasonable, incidental, personal purposes as long as the use does not violate any provision of the district policies or procedures. So that's the more specific policy for the MacBooks, but there were some concerns that were brought to me about this policy. They were reading it as potentially prohibiting that reasonable limited use of the personal property. And so I think just for clarification's sake, it would be nice to have an amendment that just points people in direction of that policy if they're reading it and they want to know that it specifically, this does not apply to the MacBook. We have another specific policy on that. So my proposed amendment would just be the sentence, refer to policy IIBF for policy directing use of district laptops and computers. So just so that when you get in there, if you aren't familiar with board docs and if you're not familiar with searching out policy, you just have it at your fingertips exactly where it is you need to go.
Okay.
Terry, could you pull that amendment up just so that they could see the language being proposed?
Okay.
So
and
if
that
you will
would be
look at
added onto the end?
It would be added to the very end, that personal use statement right there.
Okay.
So the new language in red that says personal use, what would that actually apply to? The original language about personal use?
So, for example, if someone were to borrow I don't know, hypothetically, a lawnmower or a snow blower maybe, or some other personal equipment. Anybody else come up with something?
I think the example given.
Tables, chairs, like during COVID, many of us took our screens home, so we had permission to take the screen home for use. I think, though, when we originally talked about this, I mean, there are things that we would take to use for school business, but this would keep someone from taking like a lawnmower for personal use.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, vehicle.
Don't take our cars, people.
Okay. All right, so I believe this amendment would need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so we're going to vote on the amendment.
Okay.
Or is it the policy as amended?
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Is this something, Dr. Hubbard, does the administration have any feelings about this amendment?
We're good with the amendment.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, in conversation with Rachel, our legal counsel, she thought it was actually a great thing to put in.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so I have a procedural question. Can we take one vote, or do we need to do?
We have to vote on the
and then
amendment and then the.
Vote on the amendment.
Okay, all right. So all in favor of the amendment as written, say aye.
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 Right, opposed? The amendment passes 6-0. So now that will put us back on the policy. So as amended, I seek a motion to approve policy KGA.
We already got a motion in a second, so I think you can just vote.
Oh, we just have to vote. Thank you. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. All right, thank you for the assistance, team. All right. Now that takes us to 7.0, renewal of NWEA MAP license for the 2023 school year. Dr. Hubbard?
So again, this is just a standard renewal for our MAP assessment given kindergarten through 9th grade.
Okay, and so we actually have a series of items here that exceed $250,000, which is why they are not in the consent agenda.
That's correct. And almost all of them are, except for 7.12, are just annual renewals.
Okay, all right.
Move approval, Goodburn.
Second, Hembry.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 7.8, authorization to contract with Pizza Hut for the purchase and delivery of fresh baked carry-in pizza.
I can assure you our high school students will be very pleased if you would approve this motion.
All right.
I will move approval then. Goodburn.
Second, Boyd and Rona.
We all wanted that one.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. 7.9, authorization to contract with Highland Dairy for the purchase and delivery of milk and juice products. So let's have a motion.
Move approval, Hembry.
Second, Boyd and Rona.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Dr. Hubbard, I'm sorry, I forgot to give you an opportunity.
No,
to
I'm good. Just
explain
keep, you're good. Keep going.
All right. Authorization to increase the fiscal year 21-22 expenditure with Highland Dairy.
Move approval, Hembry.
Second, Boyd Nerona.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. The memos that come with these are very informative. It's very helpful to keep moving through. 7.11, approval of capital flooring improvements. Do I have a motion?
Move approval, Goodburn.
All right, second?
Second, Owsley.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Okay, that brings 7.12, approval of an update to the 22-23 school calendar. Dr. Hubbard?
So I do have something to add here. So in order to support a new elementary adoption and to follow up with the work on the Professional Learning Communities Institute, provide instructional support, focus on social emotional learning, continue our efforts around diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging. Among others, we recommend that we change Monday, April 10th, 2023 from a student contact day to a professional learning day. This proposal has been shared and endorsed with Shawnee Mission NEA. And then additionally, I would say this reflects our current calendar and several before. We just missed an additional professional. So we're not really adding a day, we're really bringing it to where we were. So we're recommending that addition.
Move approval, Goodburn.
Second, Owsley.
All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. That brings us to board comments, and I will look to Ms. Boyd Nerona.
All righty.
To kick us off.
Over the last, the period between the last meeting and tonight, I had an opportunity to attend some events, community events, and it was a joy to join our superintendent with the Health Partnership Clinic video contest at Shawnee Mission West, where 3 of our students won cash prizes, so they were greatly.
So nice.
Yes, they're excited about that. And then also attending an event for Caring for Kids for the Heart of Champion event, which was Ziegler. I attended that with you as well and others. Really endearing and just made me that much more proud to be a board member and see what we do and the collaborative efforts that we do above and beyond for our students. I was pleasantly surprised to see that the JAG-K program is alive and well, that we also approved the budget for that. I was a JAG-K teacher in the Kansas City, Missouri School District for 2 years, so it's near and dear to my heart. Last but not least, as our president stated, that the background context provided in helping us determine whether to include the increase in expenditures for the food and beverages for our students due to the free lunches. I'm glad that we can be a part of that and that we, as a district, were able to implement that and be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Owsley?
I just want to encourage everyone, if they have an opportunity to come to the CAA to see the research and development submissions this year. The students are so talented, and it is really a pleasure to see everything in person. There's a couple pieces that I would bid on to purchase if that was permitted to take home. So wonderful job to all of the students who are participating in that, and we're so proud of you, and we hope everybody gets an opportunity to come see them.
Yeah. Ms. Goodburn?
I just want to say tonight, I received my cap and gown for is it a month from now? I received that today, and so it's so exciting. That's like the best week of the entire year for everyone I know. And so I just wanted to say, keep your noses to the grindstone to all these seniors. Keep going to school, keep your studies up, make good decisions over the next month, because we really want to see you crossing that graduation stage. So. I also wanted to say, and I know it was just happened this weekend, but I saw it on social media that A North Area teacher, our own Natalie Johnson-Berry, received the KNEA, Kansas National Education Association. She's the 2023 state nominee for the KNEA Foundation Teaching Excellence Award. So that just happened, so I'm sure we're going to hear that in the next 2 weeks in your superintendent's report. But so congratulations to Natalie. She's awesome.
Excellent. All right, Mr. Stratton.
No comments, and I look forward to seeing everyone in person again in 2 weeks at our next meeting.
Right.
Thanks.
Good to have you back. Ms. Hembry.
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay. I had the opportunity to join superintendent, a couple of board colleagues at State of the City, and then attended a couple of legislative breakfasts from area legislators. And one of the takeaways in all of those conversations is how important public education is to our community. So I want to thank the partnership of our fellow electeds in helping keep public education strong and at the forefront of our community. And thank you to all our administrators for all your hard work in honor of Administrative Day. You are the heart and soul of our leadership of our community, so thank you in our district. Anything else? All right, I think that concludes our meeting. Meeting adjourned, and we will see you May 9th.